Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are just about to start our launch ceremony of the Digital Health Camp of the IMPA. Members of the head table and members of the executive committee of the IMPA. It's really a great pleasure for me to start this launch ceremony today for many reasons, but among them, first and foremost, is that this is really a team effort that we put into this project, which is called the LCOMR, or Long COVID Outcome Measurement Registry. I will go into the details later, but for the time being, I just want to say a big thank you for all the people who helped me to sort of complete this project in really double quick time, because we never expected that we would be able to finish it so quickly. So thank you all the people who supported me in this endeavor. And I will now call upon Dr. Gnani sir to give a brief introduction regarding this.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. May I first of all thank Dr. Anandaperera for requesting me to make some initial remarks regarding this today's launching of what we call this digital health camp, which I'm not going to go into much detail because I think Dr. Anandaperera will do justice to that later. But I must tell you that he is more or less responsible for firing this project. Is able by Dr. Anandaperera, of course, as he said, with the help of many others like Dr. Hazari and the others. So this is going to be more or less a service given to our long corona patients whom we find now on the rise after this the acute stage. So this long corona is also sometimes known as long COVID and also post-COVID, which probably may mean the same. This is a situation where I'm sure you all are familiar with it, because I think Dr. Anandaperera has already shared a soft copy of the documents in relation to this issue. I'm sure you would have read them and you're already aware of the important aspects of it. But just to make a few comments, if I may, this is a service that is very much wanted by people who still suffer from some of the symptoms that they underwent during the acute stage of the infection. Now, unfortunately, we do not have very much of information or statistics or data in relation to this situation. But I know that we know that many countries are embarking upon research on this issue, especially countries like UK and USA and the WHO. So we will have more information in the future. But the situation where we have the symptoms like lethargy, fatigue, headache, and I'm not going to go into all the symptoms, which persist even after the patient has been freed from the acute corona state. So usually we expect these to be more or less there for about 4 weeks, but if they go beyond 4 weeks and continues to more than 2 months, we call it the long COVID or post-COVID. So unfortunately, the cause for this is still not known. There are a lot of theories on this, but there are certain risk factors, of course, in the news that people who are more prone to get this long corona, that is, the people who are obese, who are smokers, who are asthmatics, and also they say that it's more common in women. So these are some of the risk factors, but they are not exact causes which have been identified. But in the future, I think we will probably have more information and data to work on. Now, just a few words about the initiative that Dr. Ananda Perera has taken today or launching this digital health camp is very timely and very pertinent and very useful because this situation, as I said earlier, is, I think, we are going to live with it for some time, and it's probably rising with the rising number of acute infections. So I think we know that these people who go into long corona state are more or less psychologically depressed, they are worried, they are concerned. They do not know why they continue to have these symptoms even after they have been they have been told that they are recovered from the acute stage. Why they want so, and sometimes they do not get enough advice or instructions from practitioners as to what they should do in a situation like that. So this digital camp and this service is mainly with the objective of providing this service to those people. Now, I know that there are some people, or at least the agencies, which are trying to establish a system like this. Just a few days ago, I read in the paper that eye hospital is trying to develop a system like that, but it's only for the staff and the patients who come to the eye hospital. So that's why this initiative which Dr. Ananda Perera has started is probably going to help very many people in the public. And he will, of course, as I said, he will go into more details. And I think so that's why I said it's timely, and it's also very pertinent because it is being targeted to mostly the GPs or the family physicians who are more accessible to the general public, and I think they are ideally suited to provide this service to the general public compared to many other professional bodies in the country. So, in fact, it is also shown that this can even affect children who will find it very difficult to communicate, to tell others what they really feel like. And of course, we know that the services that we have to give to these people are not only medical, but they are also non-medical services. So people who provide these services will have to be knowledgeable on all these issues to provide the best service. So with that comment, I would request Dr. Ananda Perera to really give more details regarding this initiative that he has already embarked upon. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gnaneshwara. Now, actually, I would be I will not go into the details of long COVID or long corona or all these things because of the time factor for one thing, and the other thing is the main purpose of this is just to showcase what we have done so that you can share with your patients and then you can share with anybody or any person so that this would be spread by word of mouth. And the other thing is, according to the latest statistics from the government website, we have approximately about 500,000 diagnosed corona patients. So that means the statistics show that out of all the diagnosed cases, maybe about 10 to 30% of the patients will go into long COVID or post-COVID syndrome. So that means we can expect at least about, according to the government website statistics, there would be about 200,000 patients with long corona and long COVID in Sri Lanka. But of course, that statistics does not catch home treatment, and then there are a lot of other outpatient department patients. So most probably it's a gross underestimate. So will be the statistic on long corona patients. It would be a gross underestimate. So what we really need is actually to go to the masses and then get them to registered with us. That is the main purpose of our exercise. Actually, now this is named Long Corona Outcome Measurement Registry. Actually, from the IMPA point of view and from the point of view of the research community, what we are trying to do is we are trying to get into one place of all the patients who are suffering from the disease. In fact, this is what is called a registry. And you know the importance of statistics, and at the acute COVID management, we saw the debacle of having no statistics on exactly what is happening, because everything was misled and misguided. So at least let's see that it will not happen to the case of long corona and long COVID. Probably people have dubbed this as also the final wave. Final wave means now already we have about several clusters in Sri Lanka and several waves. So we don't know how many waves are in store for us. That is the nature of this disease. So the Delta plus variant is around the corner. So we might have a lot more, or maybe a few more waves and clusters. But then finally, we will have only long corona, and it would be the real battleground of the humanity and the SARS-CoV, because that would be the final wave, and there would be a lot of patients like this all over the world. And these people are suffering so much, and the trajectories which have been traced so far shows that they might go on for several years even, but most of the time maybe for about at least 6 to 7 months, and then probably some of these people will go on to about several years. So that is the importance of our project from a national point of view and from the point of view of the medical research community in Sri Lanka, so that we will have a list of people in one place. So let's see how we are going to do that, because if it is already according to the statistics about 200 to 300,000 patients, then at least if we can get 50% of that patients into our databases, then that would be a really big achievement. So we have a monitoring system where we would sort of have an audit and see how many patients are being registered and how many patients are being tackled in, and how many patients are being listed in our databases would be continuously monitored also. So for us to get to that level of at least achieving 50% of all these patients, we need to do only one thing. That is this is what is called the URL. The only thing is nobody can remember it other than I can remember it, because I am the one who has developed it. So obviously there will be some problems. But the problem is now what we are trying to do is we will be sort of giving a lot of telephone numbers in this material which we are going to share with the person, so that when the telephone number is used, they can contact us and we would send a SMS having this URL. So when the URL goes to the smartphone, they can right away goes into our web and then start using this program. So I will go step by step so that you all also would be in a position to guide the patients. Of course, there is a separate staff whom we have recruited who will guide these patients right throughout the process until they get some service. And the services I would show you, and those of you who have gone through the systems can actually load it onto your smartphone, because this is a smartphone-based application. Right. So now this is what we are going to share with everybody, and through our media sponsorships and the media through the print media, electronic media, and social media, we are going to popularize this URL and our telephone number, so that anybody who is having long corona, or anybody who are suspects of long corona can contact us, and then let's see what will happen after they come into our system. So we hope this would go on, and then right throughout across the country, and nobody should actually be disconnected on grounds of geography or economies on grounds of geography, because this is available as a web application and it is available as a smartphone application. So you don't need computers, tabs or anything. You can just log on to your smartphone, and according to the latest statistics, Sri Lanka has almost 2 phones per every person in Sri Lanka. So I don't think there is any grounds for concern as far as the access is concerned, because on grounds of accessibility as it is available in the internet, I think we have cleared that hurdle. The other thing is on grounds of language. Yes, we have put everything into 3 languages. So all the services, of course, not all. We are trying our level best to put all the services which the patients are going to access into all the 3 languages. But for the time being, main aspects like Dr. Janis tackled the mental problems, and all these things can be evaluated by the self using some of the programs which we have time permitting. I might go through all that, but the purpose is actually not to sort of give all the details of the services. Well, we have about 20 odd apps which are delivering the services, so you all can leisurely go through it and see what the services which are being offered. And if there's anything, you can always contact me, or else there is a dedicated staff of attend to these problems to the patients. So on grounds of cost or economy, well, is given free of charge. So free of charge means there is no cost at all. So people should be able to access it. So nobody should get disconnected on grounds of geographical barriers or language barriers or economic barriers. So I think we have come to that level of establishing some sort of a equity. Most of the services, probably some of our public health experts will know that in the department, in our Ministry of Health, the services, the resource allocation and everything is so very inequitable. So we are trying to solve that problem also by sort of allowing these things online and being available through the internet, and also giving the programs as much as possible in all the 3 languages. Okay, then we will just go a little bit into the details. Once you go through this application, then there is, of course, the registration process. I am not going through the registration process, because once the registration process is very clear, we are taking the electronic consent, and then it is a self-registration. Anybody can register. And of course, we would be entering only the patients who are most probably having long corona onto the database. The other patients would not go into the database, but then they would be in a separate temporary database for whatever the services which they require, we would be providing them. But then basically, when you get registered, you will come onto this page only. Now, this is a page where you will be given access to all the services which we are offering. Now, there's a thing called menu grid, where on top you can see the menu grid. When you click the menu grid, you will get into this page, and you can see there are a lot of apps which we have developed. So there are nearly about, I think, 10 to 15 apps, right? But then I will just go through some of the main things. I am going through the Sinhala one, but to show that it is available in Sinhala also, but the English one would be the long COVID symptom list. And then when you click that, right, you will be taken to a assessment environment where you would be sort of assessed as to all the symptoms. Now, according to the current literature, there are about nearly 200 to 250 odd symptoms which have been taken from various research publications. So we are not going to go through all that, but then probably we are covering about 100 to 150 symptoms which are commonly seen in Sri Lanka. So people can either say yes or no based on their experience, illness experience. So this app will assess that. And then, of course, there is a live consultation also. When you click that button, this, of course, is not clickable because this is a presentation. When you click that button, you will be taken to a list of all the consultants who have volunteered to provide a telephone consultation service. So we have at the moment about 11. So I really need some more, so that the work burden on a given doctor would be very much less. So more the merrier, but then at the moment we have about 10. So we should be able to sort of rotate through all these people in case, because sometimes our patients are not yet sort of digitally very sophisticated, so they might need the telephone support, in which case we have about 10 to 10 people who are willing and who have volunteered and come forward to do that. And then, of course, there are a lot of dieting programs, 1600 kilocalories and 2200 kilocalories. In Sri Lanka, most of the time, what we need is a 1600 kilocalorie diet. When you click that, you will get a meal plan for a day. And if you don't like the food in that meal plan, you can reload it. When you reload it, you are guaranteed to get a 1600 kilocalorie diet with different foods. If you don't like that food, also again, you can reload and then you will get a food meal plan, which is guaranteed to be 1600. So of course, then there is a 22 kilo 100 also for people who are very active and sort of engage in athletics and all. And then, of course, there are a lot of other, then one other purpose is when you create a registry, the whole purpose of registry actually is to get the contact data of the patients with the given disease, because then that would provide enough support and samples for the people to do research on it, and then they will try to sort of find more and more about, because we don't have any data about long corona patients in Sri Lanka. So then what will happen is, again, it would be the same problem which we faced as far as the acute COVID is concerned. So once we really start collecting data, the fundamental requirement for any registry, according to the world authorities, is you have to give something back to the patients who are getting registered. So that is, it's a reward. Of course, in some other countries, they give monetary rewards, but here we are not going to give them any monetary rewards. But then we are collecting a lot of information so that they can, in fact, all these programs will run on the smartphone, and we would be collecting a lot of information which had been considered by world authorities as required for the management of chronic diseases. Now, in the management of chronic diseases, irrespective of the fact whether it is COPD or asthma or cancer or whatever it is, there is some generic sort of requirements. Now, we are actually, I have taken all this from the peer-reviewed literature and the evidence-based medicine on the current management of chronic diseases. And anyway, long corona is going to be a chronic disease for us, as much as diabetes or dyslipidemia or whatever it is. So all these things would have a sort of a generic framework. Now, in that generic framework, one of the main thing is what is called the observations of daily living. Now, observation of daily living is actually a new concept, where what they say is, now, for instance, a person who is having diabetes would be contacting us only, say, once in 4 months, say for maybe for about 15 minutes. So 15 minutes into 4 times a year, maybe about 60 minutes, probably about 1 hour, and into how many years of diabetes, maybe about say 10 to 15 years. So how, now when you calculate that, and you will come to know that how rarely we have contact with the patient. So obviously people have come out with a mechanism where they can get more information regarding the patient's status of living with the disease. And of course, this has come after all these information systems have come into existence, because there is a way of giving the feedback immediately then and there. One is this observation of daily living. In observation of daily living, what you are collecting information is about your appetite, right? Then about your energy level and your emotions. Very few, 5 or 6 parameters, the nutrition you are taking and the type of exercises. That's about all. So the patients now, in fact, all these things are there in our website. I am not going to go through all this, because I just want to give you an overview of everything, because everything is available. So you can use your smartphone and try to run the programs and see. So observations of daily living is a new concept where we would be sort of collecting a lot of information, so that the patient can go to the attending physician whom they have selected, maybe from, say, Faro Place, say, Mena or Tangol, or wherever the patient is, whoever the physician whom they are consulting, they can share this data with that physician, so that the physician's job is also made easier. Okay, so that because that so much of information we have collected, which is evidence-based and which has been found to sort of change the outcome of the disease, so that all these things would be available. So that if the physician cares, so we can see the patient's phone, because all these things would run on the patient's phone. We are not going to give any printouts or anything, because the modern trend is, of course, to share everything through WhatsApp or through PDF files or whatever it is, and you can share it with. So this observation of daily living, ODL, is just one concept like that. Then, of course, we have got chronic disease managers. There are various questionnaires about chronic disease managers. And then, of course, there is when we come to the mental ill health of long corona patients, maybe probably about 75 to 80% of the patients of long corona is having the emotional dysfunctions. Out of the emotional dysfunctions, what really is common is the depression, anxiety, and the suicidal ideas. Now, all these things we are assessing. Actually, there are a lot of screening questionnaires. Now, for instance, we are using the, I have sort of given all the details of what we should do. And if there is anything, you can just contact me all this. Thank you very much. Launching ceremony being over, because it's in the sense I have told what I really want to tell you, but it's such a big program. We have done so much of work, and some of these things have not been done overnight. Most of these things have been there in our website for years and years. So we want to sort of give it free for all the people who really deserve it, particularly the dieting programs and all. So our CPD program now will follow. You can always contact me. Our phone numbers are there. And if you want to refer a patient, please refer the patient. Then, of course, we will take over from there. And then it's all online activities. There won't be any face-to-face interactions. Even the 10 doctors who have volunteered to help the patients would be sort of doing that on a telephone call basis. And this probably will go on for about 1 year. That's how we have planned it, because until we get quite a sufficient sample of at least about 50% of the people in Sri Lanka of long corona. So this will go on like that. And yes. Yeah. Yes, yes. Yeah. Yes, yes. In fact, that is the whole idea of it, so that we would actually a registry is something like that. Of course, there are all kinds of registries called the quality initiative registries, contact registries. So basically, what I have developed is a contact registry, so that we will just collect the patient's contact details, and so that all these things would be available for the medical researchers, so that, of course, as they are getting registered with us, we are providing them some reward services.